I know it's only been 2 games, but I think we have to have a serious conversation about Trayce Jackson-Davis potentially taking over Looney's minutes. Before these 2 games versus the Blazers and Celtics, Trayce had a total of 10 DMPs, and most of the time when he actually played, it was either in garbage time or in really short spurts. In Sunday's game versus the Blazers, Steve Kerr was forced to bring in Davis after Saric picked up 3 quick fouls, and Davis immediately made his presence felt. In the first 2 minutes he played, he picked up an assist off a Clay 3-pointer, threw down an alley-oop from CP3 off a pick and roll, made a nice steal off a post inbounds pass, and a layup off another pick and roll, this time with Steph Curry. He ended the half with 8 points, 2 steals, 1 rebound, 2 assists, with a plus-minus of +7 in just 7 minutes. He wasn't done, as his great play translated into the second half, as Steve Kerr rewarded him by playing him late in the fourth quarter. He ended up finishing the game with a career-high 14 points and 8 rebounds and 3 assists to go along with it. With how well he played, it was evident that Steve Kerr had no choice but to play him in Tuesday night's game versus the Celtics, and let's just say that was a very wise decision. In the 28 minutes Davis played in, he wreaked havoc on the boards, executed the pick and roll to perfection, and protected the paint. He ended up closing out the game, playing in the fourth quarter and in overtime. He finished the game with 10 points, a career-high 13 rebounds, and had 3 blocks, which included 1 crucial block in overtime against Jaylen Brown. The craziest thing about this game was that he had the highest plus-minus out of anyone in the game, with a plus-minus of +25 in a game the Warriors only won by 6 points. In comparison, Kevon Looney finished with a game-low plus-minus of -19. Look, I love Kevon Looney, and he will no doubt go down as a Warriors legend, but Steve Kerr has to go with the man who's been killing it as of lately. Jackson's agility, rim protection, and quickness in the pick and roll opens up the Warriors system on both ends of the floor that no other big on the team can do. Let's dive deeper into his game a little bit more. Starting with his work on the boards, the mixture of his high leaping ability and quick legs make him attack the boards like a pogo stick. His tenacious hops make it a challenge for opponents to fight for the rebound. In addition, Davis has the quickness to soar in the paint to grab rebounds. Although the Warriors don't score on this play, he gives the Warriors a high percentage shot off his effort and afterwards manages to give Curry an open 3. I don't know what's up with the Warriors' young players this season, but Trayce Jackson-Davis, Brandon Pajemski, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga have been killing it with their hustle all season long. These guys are hungry. On the offensive side, Davis is elite as a roll man in the pick and roll. What separates him from Looney is that Davis is much quicker when it comes to rolling after setting the screen. When Looney sets screens, he usually freezes up for a second, and when he does roll, he doesn't share the same quickness as Trayce does. For example, in this mid-fourth quarter play versus the Blazers, Davis sets a screen for Wiggins. As Wiggins drives the ball to the right, Anthony Simons gets caught on the Jackson-Davis screen. Because of this, DeAndre Ayton is forced to focus his attention towards Wiggins, so Simons is basically now switched on to Davis, but since Davis is in front of Simmons to the basket, Davis quickly cuts to the paint, and Wiggins makes an easy dump-off pass for the dunk. Another example is on this Clay-Davis pick and roll. Davis sets a good screen that gets Pritchard off of Clay, forcing Horford to switch onto Clay. Now, Pritchard is guarding Davis, and once again, Davis has an open cut to the lane. Where I think he's much more dangerous than Looney and Saric is his ability to rise over the top of defenders. If this was Looney, he would most likely bring the ball down and try to power his way to the basket. The problem with this is that these moves would give the defender more time to acclimate and potentially strip the ball. But in Jackson-Davis's case, he takes advantage of his height and rises right over the top of Derek White. On the very next play, Davis and Clay run the same set again, this time with Davis cutting before even setting the screen. This time, Derek White is much more prepared to contest the shot as he jumps with both his hands up. Luckily, Davis is also a pretty solid passer, and he notices Corey Joseph's cut to the paint, leading to an open layup. In all these plays, Davis's agility and basketball IQ makes the Warriors' offensive system look so smooth. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is his rim protection. Davis is an elite shot blocker, and he will not hesitate to swat a ball with force. He also isn't afraid to meet players at the rim. We saw it with his insane block against Jaylen Brown in overtime. On this Warriors team, he's really the only player who can protect the rim at this level. This has been one of the Warriors' biggest weaknesses for a couple seasons now, and since the Warriors have failed to address the problem through free agency, playing Jackson-Davis is a must. With how well Jackson-Davis has performed in these past 2 games, it would be a crime for Steve Kerr to not play him. I know fans have been begging Steve Kerr to give TJD more minutes for a couple months now, and while it probably took longer than it should have, there really shouldn't be any reason why Trayce doesn't get rotational minutes from here on out. The question is really if Steve Kerr pulls the trigger and decides to place Trayce in the starting lineup. To be honest, if Steve Kerr has already been able to bench Clay and Wiggins this season, I can't see why not Looney is the next one. I think it really depends on the center matchups to determine who gets more minutes. If we're playing against much bigger centers like Jokic, Embiid, and Sabonis, then Looney would probably get the nod over Davis. But if we're playing against smaller and skinnier big men and a team with a fast pace, then Trayce is for sure the answer. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have a lot of fun making these kinds of videos, so any feedback would be greatly appreciated on how I can make them better. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. With that being said, thanks for watching and go Warriors.